give them something to talk about. I see the energy running out. I got a planet to run around. Okay.
No, that was like that one was like a punch in the face.
Was it too loud?
I don't know. No, not usually, because then when I listen to it in my car, it sounds
You keep
great.
the volume down.
Yeah,
I had it at the same level as you said last time. It was too low.
It was too low, but no, it sounds good when it's being replayed. The volume's replayed. It sounds loud in these when we first start out. Welcome, Gwen and Athena.
Thank you.
Good morning.
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 Did the second link I sent you work? That's what it was, Athena? Yeah. Okay. We use a bit of we've talked about this before. I don't know. I think I may have had this conversation with Athena about using whatchamacallit, like clickbait. Are you okay over there, Jamie?
Yeah, my mic just fell off the stand.
So yeah,
I'll fix it. I'm gonna mute myself so I don't make a bunch of noise.
It now.
Yeah, I'm clarifying now.
Clarifying the clickbait right out of the gate. Good move.
Where it wasn't clickbait. You don't need clickbait when we have Athena on. With Athena, we get a whole bunch of people that join in and want to listen to her. She's a bit of a celeb. And now, honestly, when I was driving in this morning late, I hadn't heard back from Athena, and hey, I'm dead. And I thought, oh no, I didn't really hear back from Athena. Now that she's kind of famous, even more famous.
Stop it.
I thought, oh, I might have to like get on her calendar or talk to her assistant and get confirmation from her assistant before I can go on.
If she has an agent,
it's way bigger than this podcast.
For sure.
Jamie and I are really humble about this podcast, but we know, our commitments to it.
Yeah.
Craig and Jamie, I would not miss coming back here.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Thank you. Right. And
it's great having you back.
I love it.
Nice to meet you, Athena.
Nice to meet you too, Gwen.
Yeah, so Gwen's a nutrition coach, independent nutrition coach. She's also a member of Diablo. She's got her open shirt on.
Rocking the black.
Yeah, that's a Vindicate shirt. By the way, I gave one to.
I saw that.
I didn't give it directly to Dave. I saw Dave. We fist bumped at the
Pleasanton.
Pleasanton at the 24. I was able to fist bump. That was about it. That was the extent of it. The guy is just like, he's very focused, very professional, really out. You can tell, man. He's like, those are really important to him.
Yeah.
And he's in a zone. But I gave the shirt to Wilson Sang, who basically runs the operations for that, who we met when we hosted an open a couple of years ago. And I honestly thought it was like 50-50 as to whether Dave would get that shirt. I thought, I'm giving it to Wilson. But you know what?
What do you think he's going to wear it himself?
But if Wilson, maybe. Wilson's a good dude, or he'd give it to someone else.
Somebody will wear it.
And Dave probably gets 1,000 shirts. So I'm thinking, Dave's going to like it. No, you keep it, or just immediately give it away, which was fine too. I was okay with that. But that was the logo that he had, is the one that Gwen has on, and then he sent me a
selfie with.
He sent me a selfie with Jada Coons, and Jada Coons had on my Wadapalooza shirt that I gave him at Wadapalooza.
Oh, look at that!
No,
you think they planned that one out?
No, I don't think so.
I just happened to wear Diablo shirts
because of the way the picture was. It was kind of random, but anyway, it was like so I got two executives wearing the shirts at the same day.
Yeah.
The only thing that ruined it was the Invictus hat that Jay had on.
I know.
I was gonna. Before
he didn't know the history between the Invictus and Diablo's rivalry,
and it had to be during of course it had to be during the Open when that's when we compete against Invictus. And I love CJ; he's an amazing owner and runs an amazing business, and he's the background owner. Like, he doesn't need to be in the limelight, and the guy's just killing it all across the board. But anyway, he's a pain in the ass because of his stupid green V and the sea of green and all those fans that like him. And so Jay had that on. Jay had the Invictus hat on. I was like, oh, you're kidding me. I was gonna like Photoshop it and like block it out, and just make it a black hat, but
just put another big Diablo D on the top.
Anyway, so Gwen's a nutrition coach, but Gwen and I have conversations so if I want to talk to Gwen about what her experience is coaching clients, and I get good information, good feedback as to what her experiences are. And then we've had a couple of conversations Gwen and I have about the semaglutides, Ozempic, Wegovy, and there's one or two others. There's a new one on the market that's coming to the market this fall or this summer, I think. And so I wanted to talk to Athena because Athena and I have talked about it as well. And Athena is in the middle of a journey. For those that don't know, she's in the middle of I'm going to lose 300 pounds, be the first one to lose 300 pounds CrossFit journey. And I'm enjoying the episodes with
loving them.
Andrew Hiller.
Yeah.
Super enjoyable.
Every week.
Cool.
And it's like it's a physical transformation of Andrew Hiller. Yeah.
Is it? What are your thoughts, Craig?
He is.
I feel like in the second week, you could tell like he is learning a lot out of this experience.
Absolutely.
That's definitely there's definitely a change in his tone overall.
I don't want this to go to Athena's head, but she does have a way of influencing you and to be more introspective of yourself, in having multiple conversations with her about large body athletes, obesity, her own journey, what we do here at Diablo. And I think Hiller is experiencing that same thing. And that's what makes you, that's what makes you really good guest. That's why people want to listen to you talk. Yeah. Because you're very thoughtful and you're very caring, and you don't have a mean bone in your body that we know of. Well,
I mean, I can get poked,
Yeah.
Still, yeah.
Yeah. Well, but anyway, so we're enjoying that. That's an awesome experience. And if you, so far I think I saw you're at 35, 36, I think.
36 this morning. Yeah.
Love the chalkboard too.
Yeah, that's awesome. The old school. Dig it.
It's so good.
No, it's not. It's annoying as hell.
Good. That's why it's so good.
Annoying.
Because it's amazing. Hand, like that's like every time she does, I'm like, oh, she's doing a hand model.
It's amazing how many people that
Yeah.
So one of them.
Related to that is, and you're in good company because Dave Castro had to have a chalkboard for 24.1. I don't know if anyone told the story about the chalkboard. So he came in, and when he got there, he said, "Look, I need a chalkboard." And they're like, "Okay." And they told him, and Zoltan Heights, who's running it, said, "There's no chalkboards. You can't buy a chalkboard. There's no place to go get a chalkboard." Like he looked and he tried to get a chalkboard there. And he's like, "There's no place to get a chalkboard." And Dave's like, "Well, my team will figure it out." And so Zoltan says, this is the best. The day before Wednesday, he sees this whole group of guys over there with a whiteboard laid down on the ground, and they have this big chalkboard sticker, like a 4x8 sticker. It's a big, it's an adhesive, so you get a chalk. So
they put it right onto a whiteboard.
Yeah. So and he goes, then they're all like stretching out and they're pulling the thing back and they're laying it out. And he goes, there's like 6 guys working on this thing for an hour, trying to get all the bubbles out.
Oh my god!
Trying to get all the bubbles out so Dave could have a chalkboard for the open presentation. I was dying. And so it's like, just use a whiteboard.
That's hilarious.
But that's how professional, and like how that's what Dave wants to.
But he's used whiteboards before.
Yeah, he has. But then he switched to chalkboard. He likes chalkboards.
Give the man what he wants.
Oh my god! But anyway, so we got off track again. Athena's chalkboard is awesome, but the number of days. What I'm shocked at is the number of days. It's only been
since starting it.
60 days?
Like close, like 50. What was this morning? Like 56.
And you said this morning, and this is relevant to the conversation that I want to get into, but you said this, when I was listening to your podcast this morning, the most recent podcast with Andrew, and he is, I know Andrew well, because you and I hung out with him at the games. Very charming guy, just a sweetheart of a guy, and ignore the persona. And I know there's stuff that's
it's some more of a character for you too.
Yeah, it is. He really is just you can feel that when in conversations with him.
Yeah.
And but this morning I was listening to him talk about your rapid weight loss, and then and I think it's almost kind of like a diminishing returns. You said the less I have in reserve, the slower it's going to go. and he he made a great comparison to someone doing the snatch. It's going to take longer to go from 300 to 325 than it is from 135 to 225.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's like the inverse of that, which is surprising.
It was a really good it was a surprising comparison because he came up with it quickly. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how that works.
Yeah. So before her first documented weight loss was 148 pounds. And that was remarkable on the journey. If anybody hasn't watched on YouTube, I promote it every time. Go to YouTube and just Google Athena Perez and you'll find it.
It was 200.
It was 200. Yeah, it's 200 total.
Don't sell her short.
Come on, Craig.
Yeah, Craig. Come on, Craig.
So do you have plans for the next 100 in terms of the specific time? Because I didn't find that anywhere. Like, do you say I'm going to do this by such and such date?
You know what? I get in trouble every time I try to set dates. Like, this is the goal over the year, but I'm also flexible enough to understand that there's certain components that I can control, and then there's certain things that I just can't. And time happens to be one of them, which is why I tell everybody, anybody that's like on a journey like this, you have to make peace with time. Even though you could put in your best effort and I always like to say it like, I would love to lose this much weight by this time, but ultimately there's certain things in there that I just can't control.
Gwen, when you work with your clients, do you put them on do they come to you with time goals? Like, hey, I've got a wedding in 6 months and I need to lose 30 pounds.
It's very common. And I try to steer people away from it. So I love what Athena's saying. I just feel like you're putting way too much pressure on yourself for one event when we're talking about the rest of your life, not one event. And I also try to shy people away from having a goal weight. I'd rather, I said, what if your goal is to weigh 180 pounds and you feel phenomenal at 185 and you look good, you feel good, you're healthy, your lab markers are there. Why are you going to stress to lose those 5 pounds? Because like Athena said, the lower you go, the harder it is to get those 5 pounds off.
Yeah. And I think too, people with the danger there too, is people have in their mind a perception, the 5 pounds will make me look like this. And the reality is you don't know where the hell those 5 pounds are going to come from.
Well, how much are you fluctuating too from a day to day?
Well, that's right.
That
too,
could
right?
be 5 pounds right there.
Yeah.
And you can't control how you're going to look. Like Miranda from Street Parking just posted the other day.
Yes.
A picture of herself before kids, after kids, same body fat percentage within less than a percentage point, same weight. She looks different because she had 2 children or 3.
Yeah.
She had 3 now.
Yeah.
You know, your body shifts and you've got to be open-minded about what you might look like. Like Athena saying, you know, there are certain things that you can't control. You can control your effort. You can control your consistency, what you're eating, that you're exercising. You got to let go of the outcome somehow. It's like when I was practicing muscle ups years ago, when I had them, I had to get to the point where I didn't care if I would get them. I was just going to put in the effort.
Yeah.
Right. Like you've got to let go of that. That's a really hard thing to do, but the more you can let go of that, the easier it will become. You'll enjoy the process more.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess this question is for Athena. So that's how I think about, or how I don't think about my weight. What I think about is the habit, not the weight. And then, you know, and then I usually, whenever I go to the doctor, whatever it is, once a year, once every 2 years, I'm like, oh yeah, it's kind of the same place. Right. Or every once in a while, we have an in-body machine, you know, I'll jump on the machine, but I'm like, oh yeah. All right. So, but again, I've looked like this for a long time. I've been like this, but that's a result, I think, of my habits. I guess my question to Athena is, do you get to a point? Can you get to a point where you're not thinking about it, Athena, and you're just thinking about the habits? And now, are you already there?
Let me clarify. Are you talking about like, you know, is there ever a point where I'm not thinking about my weight specifically?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback up on what Gwen said because I have that exact same philosophy, but it's amazing to me how many people say, like, what is your ultimate goal weight? I know that getting to that 300 pounds lost, 200 was a good milestone, but what is your goal after that? And I'm like, if you've never been there, I've never been there, so I don't know. Maybe when I get to that 200 mark, maybe that's where happy will be.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it will be below that, but yeah, same thing. Do I think about it? No, I don't think about the weight. I think about my food, my nutrition, my workouts, my habits, like what I'm doing kind of on a day-to-day, and like thinking about like how I feel here. Okay. Because in my opinion, this is the most important.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's how I think. Same thing. If I eat something crappy, or usually it's this, I ate something crappy, didn't really think about it. And then the next day I'm like, God, what am I? It's taking me long to warm up. I don't feel good. Like, oh, why am I lagging? Why do I want to take a nap? And then I'm like, oh, like I replay the intake. I don't think about the weight I might have gained. It's up here and how you feel inside, how your gut feels. You have a good bowel movement, all of that stuff goes into like in the better you are, the more disciplined. I find the more disciplined I am, like the less I think of it, because like all those things are operating. But if you get really, really good on it, good at it, you notice when you're off track.
Yes. I think what's really interesting right now, because I can confidently say there's no such thing as me eating anything poopy. So when I'm not feeling good, it kind of gives me the opportunity to look at the other areas, like how did I sleep? How was my stress? Like when I know that my nutrition is on par, then I know it's coming from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good too.
Yeah, it gives you an opportunity to understand beyond nutrition, because people they want to keep it simple, and the way they do that is typically say, okay, let's eat less and exercise more, right?
Yes,
That's the model.
Mhm.
And like Athena is saying, if you're consistent, then what are the other factors that can control?
Mhm.
Maybe you need rest. Maybe you exercise too much this week, and maybe you need an extra rest day. And to be able to make those adjustments on your own because you know yourself, that's a gift.
If you're eating like shit consistently, you're really not going to feel the difference between a good night's sleep and a bad night's sleep.
No, you're not. That's your normal. That's your normal.
That's your baseline.
Yeah, that is your baseline. So, and it's interesting because what your relationship with Hiller and this program that you're doing is amazing, and it does have the 300-pound weight loss number target. I applaud that because it's going to draw people in to see your story. But it's nice to know that that's like not the driving factor. Like that's really cool. But so it is. So I love that you're doing it because the 300 it's remarkable. Because everybody wants to see. Everyone wants to see that, and everybody's going to tell the story. That's Athena. Well, they already know who you are, but they're gonna know even more. It's really cool. Yeah.
You know what I think is more remarkable is just watching Athena and Hiller. The fact that they're putting their interactions on YouTube out there. I mean, that is coaches. So valuable for coaches, and for
potential people that are ready to get help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you know that you were going to have that kind of impact on coaching relationships and people that are also pursuing the same? Did you want them to see that interaction for that reason?
I mean, none of it was planned. None of it
was beautiful.
So when I think I mentioned this on the last podcast. When the post initially got put out there, I honestly believed it was coming from a place of like, I'm going to take him to task and I'm going to call him out and he's going to chicken out. And I thought,
he didn't.
I thought that's what was going to happen. And when he agreed to do it, it just kind of evolved from there. And then when we met for that first show or two, and it started evolving very quickly. Like I got a chance to kind of get a glimpse of who he was, and I was like, wow, like I had no idea how profound that was going to be for me, just learning everything that I know now. And I had no idea that people were going to be like, oh, when's the show? I'm like, well, that's cool that you want to tune in. That's awesome. It was just a crap session between me and my coach, but I didn't realize it was going to be so powerful to other people.
Yeah. You may have answered this on another podcast. Were there other coaches that you had in mind, or were kind of playing around with in your head as to who you might have a good relationship with or help you with this journey?
No.
Okay, so you kind of settled on him. Kind of had a target on him for him.
This is funny too, because I'm sure, like, I don't think I thought about it as much at the time. I'm sure that I had been watching Hiller for a while. So I think I'm going to guess that maybe I was just storing some of that here. So when he had come out with this video called "This Is Why You're Fat," was the video that did it for me.
Yes.
I'm watching this video and he's talking about, calories in, calories out, all these things that he likes to talk about. And it was just that one perfect day, the side of, And so I'm watching this video, and this is how it transpired. I'm watching the video. I'm talking to a friend on the phone. I'm like, today's the day. I went to my phone. I'm like, what should I say? Because I don't want to be rude. I'm talking to her on the phone. I'm like, do you think she's going to say yes? Do you think he's going to say yes? I'm like, I don't know. Let's do it. It was just, whew. So I did not think about it when I did that. I'd love to say there was some master plan, but there wasn't.
That's cool. That's the best.
That's really cool.
It's kind of a gut instinct, if you will.
It was just a complete.
I'll come back because that whole calories in, calories out, provokes a discussion that was so educational for me.
For me too, yeah.
During
the seminar. Yeah, the large body athlete seminar. And if you haven't signed up for it, or you haven't taken the large body athlete seminar, find a place where it's going to be close to you and take a coach there. Go, if you're a coach, go to it. You will be, I guarantee you'll be mind blown, especially if you spent a long career, had a long time in the world of fitness. Go and be a part of that, and you will learn, and it will be, and it's emotional too, the whole process. And you're driving home and you're just, replaying. We were replaying, and we were talking about it for weeks after that. Yeah. And then I met with my coaches to talk to them about it. And I've used the examples that I've gotten from that large body athlete seminar with our teens, even in discussions with teens. And I use your phrase often, and now I'm probably getting credited with coming up with it. With me, there's no original thought. It's usually something I pulled off the internet, or something recycled, some conversation. I'm 61. I can do that. I'm allowed to regurgitate all the pulling that card. I know. Start calling you out on it. But the one thing that you said that I've used, I spoke to a group of PE teachers. Jamie Lee and I got to speak to PE teachers in an entire school district. Really cool. 2 classes. And the thing I left them with was, make them want to come back tomorrow. The kids, because kids just they don't like exercise. They don't want to work out. They want to play. They want to have fun. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. Right. And if the teachers had the opportunity to make them come back tomorrow, want to come back tomorrow, they might put a hook in them that'll last for the rest of their life. It's not about giving them a hard workout, making them sweaty, sending them home sweaty to their parents, and and trying to transform them. It's about making them want to come back tomorrow. And that was what Athena left us with large body athletes. Yes, you get them in, bring them in, make them feel comfortable, give them a workout, but make them want to come back tomorrow.
Goes for all of us.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
I was scared shitless when I was starting CrossFit, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to come back.
I want to, so before we get into all the reasons for the behind the calories, getting calories out conversation, I wanted to talk to you about I want to jump right into, you've got a goal here, an aggressive weight loss goal. Why not just do what the celebrities are doing and just jump right into a semaglutide and do that for 6 months or 12 months?
Well, I'm sure you're going to agree, Gwen. This is like a conversation with like 30 different tentacles.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
And I don't think that any of these options, whether it be semaglutides or bariatric surgery or any of those, were ever, I got close to considering bariatric surgery on the first round, but it was just, I knew intuitively what my issues were, and surgery and semaglutides were not going to help me with the mental part of this, because it's 95% of it.
Yeah.
And if you can't get that mental stuff under control, this is why we see the recidivism with the surgeries and even the semaglutides now, where they go right back to what they were doing. Because if it's the same things that we talked about and went over in that seminar. If you don't fix those roots, you're going to go right back to doing everything that you were doing before. Yes, you might get some temporary results, but it's going to be very difficult if you don't fix the reason why you gained weight in the first place.
Yes.
Well said. You've got clients that you've recommended, or that they came to you and said, I'm going to do this. Which one?
It's the whole gamut. So I've had clients who I've been working with and they started while I was working with them. I've had clients who worked with me, then went on it. And then I just had a client start like 2.5 weeks ago. She had stopped taking the medication on her own. She just didn't want to be on it because she was concerned about long-term side effects. And she wanted to make sure she wasn't gaining the weight back. And then I have another new client that just started last Thursday. So it's becoming more popular, right? And there are definitely things that need to be considered. I mean, if you read the package insert from the drug, it's called the prescribing information. It says that you should do this as part of a comprehensive program. And then I guess like 2 days ago, it was World Obesity Day. And it was, there was a statement, and it was, I think, on Fox News, and it talked about, once again, reinforcing that you need a treatment team, right? You need whoever prescribes it.
I like
you need
that.
your pharmacist, maybe a therapist, right?
Yes.
A nutrition coach or a nutritionist. And people need to have their eyes on the person rather than just giving them a prescription and sending them on their way. Like one of my clients who lost 10 pounds working with me and then decided that because she was pre-diabetic, so it was definitely indicated for her. She went to her doctor, and I spoke to her several weeks ago and asked her, what direction, or did your doctor talk to you about any type of plan to follow other than just, here's the medication and here's the dose, go to your pharmacy? And the doctor said, you need to exercise and eat better too, right? That was it.
That's where it ended.
That was it. That's where it ended. So that to me is, I know the healthcare system, right? You get maybe 15 or 20 minutes with your primary care doctor.
Right.
So if people are choosing to go on it and that's their choice, I would go to a board certified obesity medicine physician who is looking at your lean muscle mass to make sure, because many people who are taking these are losing valuable muscle mass. We don't want that.
That's right.
Right? Because if they do go off of it and regain weight, they're actually going to be fatter.
They're going to be weaker also.
Weaker,
unable to
fatter,
support.
more susceptible to chronic disease. I mean, they're actually making their situation worse. So if they're not committed to working on, and Athena talked about the mindset. I mean, the mindset is a huge piece of it. I'm in a couple of Facebook groups where people are on the medication and they're talking, you can tell they're freaking out. They're like, should I eat this? Should I not eat this? What do I do? And they're asking other people in the group for advice. It doesn't take the anxiety away. It doesn't take away the underlying root cause of why they're there. And so like Athena said, recidivism is going to be high. The likelihood of them regaining the weight is very high. So it's just, those are the things to be aware of if you choose to do it.
It is these semiglutides are glucagon-like protein receptor agonists, and the GLP-1 is essentially a peptide in your gut that controls hunger. So these agonists, they go in and they bond to that GLP, and then they slow the uptake of glucose, which controls insulin, which was used for diabetes purposes. And what they found was there's a added benefit is that it inhibited hunger. And then of course you didn't take in as many calories. And that does have a benefit for weight loss, but like you said, that's going to affect muscle too, because muscle needs calories. You need right to build muscle and to maintain muscle. The problem is, as Gwen pointed out, is that it doesn't do anything up here, or maybe it does. But it also there are side effects. You were talking about an incredibly complex biological process within your stomach that you're choosing to affect. And people say, well, that's better than bariatric surgery. Well, is it? Right, where you're going in and you're basically changing your
define better.
Define better.
Yeah.
Right. So you're doing it at a molecular level with cells, and you're not quite sure everything. I know they know kind of. You'd like to think that one doesn't affect the other, but then there's gut microbiome too, right? And then there's the intestinal microbiome. All of these things kind of are interrelated,
right?
And so that makes it a little bit scary in terms of getting into these things. And I think people should be thoughtful about that process. And I love that you get the change in behavior. And I have seen, the experts that have talked about it said, make sure it's accompanied with behavior change. But the behavior change, that's the part that Athena talks to us about in the Large Body Athlete Seminar is a very difficult process.
Yeah.
Athena, do you think the semaglutides make the behavior change easier?
Now, I haven't taken these, but we do interface with a lot of larger bodies who do take these. And this is the feedback that I've gotten. And I think initially when these started becoming more popular, obviously I was dead set against them personally. But the more I started listening to them, and I think that this is something really important for coaches to hear, because if you've never had a weight problem, you don't understand what we call food noise. And it's powerful. When I say food noise, it's like you're thinking about, it's not like you're thinking about food all the time. It just happens it's always living here. Kind of like your weight question earlier, Craig. It's like, are you never not thinking about your weight? For people that struggle, it's like you're always thinking about food in one way or another. What am I going to eat for lunch? What am I going to eat for breakfast? And blah, blah, blah. It's always there. And so the feedback that they have given me is that it shuts that food noise off. So in turn, what it allows them to do is get rid of the food noise so that they can start focusing on the habits that are going to help long-term. Now, I don't want anybody misunderstanding what I'm saying either. I'm not out there advocating for these things. However, from the feedback, it has been giving them the headspace so that they can tackle the habits that they know that they're going to have to create, the time, the mental space, all those roots that we talk about. Those are all the things that they have to work on. When they're not having to think about food 24/7, it does make it maybe a little easier for them.
Wow. Is it, that's really interesting. Is it, do you think some people think or won't do it because they think it's cheating?
Like taking the easy way out?
Taking steroids to get stronger, or right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking about when I was thinking about what we were going to be talking today, and I see a lot of these conversations out in the CrossFit space right now. In fact, there was a notable coach from the the seminar team the other day had posted something on Ozempic. And my question back to everybody first is like, who is your audience? Is your audience that you're really trying to talk to the people that look at these as, I want to do this because I don't want to work out? Is that really who you're trying to reach? The people that you're trying to reach, or the potential people that would also come to a CrossFit gym, are the ones that are looking at this like they did not come to this decision lightly. This is not something that they were like, I think I'm going to choose this because it's the easy way out. No, one of the things that we heard in the seminar was that, somebody in their 40s, for instance, has tried weight loss 148 times. This is not something that they came to as a simple, like, oh, I think I'll just take a shortcut. That's not who we're talking to in CrossFit. The people that we're talking to in our affiliates are the people that this is the last, like, this might be one of their last ditch efforts. I have already tried everything else and I need to try something different. There is such desperation there to start getting some wins so that they can feel like they're building momentum. The momentum is what's going to keep them going forward.
Yeah.
Right.
So many good points in that discussion, but the giving people small wins through fitness and enables them or empowers them to have smaller gains. This is again something you talked about when in that large body seminar,
the scaling forward,
little wins, little PRs all the way. Right. I typically, and going to verify this one, when someone comes into Diablo, we don't put them on a nutrition plan here. We don't even we barely talk to them about nutrition. People ask, do you have nutrition? Yeah, we have nutrition coaches.
Yeah, it's the first sentence of the 100 words.
Right.
100 words.
And it's the same thing too. When someone comes in, and we've had them where they come in and I know they smoke. Like you can tell right away they smoke. And I've had people ask, I remember I had a girl ask me, a young woman, I should say, ask me, I smoke, should I quit smoking? And I said to her, no, don't quit now. I want you to build a habit of working out. And because you're going to get to a point after your workout, especially after a Metcon, where you're going to go,
it's the last thing you want to
I need to not smoke anymore. But I don't like to but I say that it's obviously more visceral for smoking, but from a point of view with nutrition, I don't want to link the two together. Because what happens is if you link the two together, you combine nutrition with food when you're first starting out. If you fail at one,
the other one's gonna obviously.
Yeah, you're just like, okay, I can't. Like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to. And then if I get them on one, if I can just get them coming back tomorrow, then I've got a habit that they can build upon. And then typically, what happens here, it happens with a lot of members. They start to ask questions. How do I get stronger? How do I want to lose more weight? I want to get leaner. After they've been I want to get faster in my Metcons. I want to improve my performance for next year. I want to make the 25%.
And then organically.
Yeah.
Exactly. To the people that really want to pursue it, that is exactly how it happens. They start getting curious about everything else. I don't know, Craig, if you knew this or not, but when I started CrossFit, I was a smoker as well. And the same thing happened. Well, I was a cigar smoker, and my coach kind of took the same approach. I know you don't have to quit smoking, but it would probably be helpful. And then what happened? I did Fran. And
the Fran cough became a very real cough.
There you go. Wow.
And it's like one of those things that evolves as well. You're going to get to a point where you're like, it's the last thing that you want, because you want to be able to breathe better in your workouts, So
definitely sympathize with that one.
The other thing I think about with respect to these semiglutides is it can be a necessary intervention, I think. And this one, I'm kind of putting this out there for you guys to agree or disagree. So, for example, just to give you a rough example, so antidepressants are sometimes used as a way to intervene and interrupt the cycle of depression, which is cyclical and can get worse and worse and worse. And it helps bring people out of that, helps break the pattern. And
This is something in my own experience. I'm ever averse to taking any kind of medication, whether it's pain medication, whether it's antibiotics. Like I just don't like it. And Yvonne and I have kind of been the same way. We will if we absolutely have to. But I was in talking to my doctor, and he asked me, this was maybe 10 years ago now, hey, how you feeling mentally and everything? I said, well, man, I'm in a funk. Like I can't get out of it. Like I find myself like taking 3-hour naps and just waking up and just going, why'd I do that? And I felt myself falling into the vortex where and I described depression as a vortex. We fall in a vortex, and then it starts piling on. And pretty soon you're almost enjoying that vortex, and falling into it. And he said, okay, try this. And so he prescribed an antidepressant. I was like, I'm not gonna take drugs. Well, I took it, and it was probably 6 to 8 weeks, and it snapped me out of it.
Great.
I didn't necessarily, after about the 3rd week or 4th week, I was like, yeah, okay. Oh, I can feel the difference. Like I know, when you're on an antidepressant, you kind of get that, but everything's okay, but there's no high highs and there's no low lows.
Yeah.
And so I weaned myself off, but it shook me out of the vortex, and I never went back to that vortex. In other words, so it helped me, it helped kind of break the cycle. And so I look at these, GLP agonists as maybe a way to help break the cycle that someone that is especially morbidly obese is in, so that they can get on a positive train.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, one of my clients who's currently on it, one of the things that I think people don't think about either is she was on Wegovy, and her insurance changed January 1st, and her new insurance carrier wouldn't cover it. She had to get a prior authorization, and she's going to an obesity clinic.
I want to talk about that too, but keep going.
So she was denied. And so she has been off of a medication since the beginning of January, and her weight has stabilized. She hasn't lost any. She hasn't gained any. And what they want her to try first is a combination of phentermine and topiramate. Well, phentermine is the old fen, which is a stimulant, right? It's speed,
right.
essentially.
Yeah.
It's a Schedule II drug. And topiramate is Topamax is the brand, and it's for bipolar disorder. So, I just said to my client, you have sleep apnea. And if you're taking a stimulant, that's likely going to impact your sleep quality. And if you go back and appeal this, tell your physician to appeal it, I think you have a case. And those are the things that a lot of people don't know how to navigate. I used to work in pharmaceuticals, so I know some of the tricks, and I can share that with my clients. So she's decided to try it anyways. So we'll see how it is. She just finally got approved like 2 days ago. But those are real things you need to consider. And I think people just don't dig as deep as they need to understand the risk and the benefit, and that they're not being monitored properly. So I think those are kind of the two things that I would say, people need to look at before they decide.
Research is so important with this, especially with your physicians with any drugs. Now, their education typically with pharmaceuticals comes from the pharmaceutical industry. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, though we've seen some good documentaries on Netflix. To the opposite.
I lived in that world for 13 years.
Oh, man. These guys have I think the biggest concern with that process is that you already stated it. Physicians just don't have time these days.
Right.
So then they're going to take their, someone they trust, a pharmaceutical rep that they trust, someone they built a relationship with. They're going to get 15 minutes with them. That's what they're going to learn. And then the better physicians obviously are going to dig deep, really understand the process, understand. But these guys, physicians, you go in and you guys have seen physicians. You look at 100 physicians, and I guarantee you, and this is one of those generalizations, but I guarantee at least 70% of them are going to look like they don't work out. And maybe don't have a really good understanding of the whole process of fitness. And that's why, I think you said in the beginning, Gwen, is surround yourself with a team of people that can give you
absolutely
good input and help you change the behaviors ahead of time. Because it's scary.
I think that's something worth noting, Craig, because we talk to just as many people who are on these, and they talk about their experience. Like I got them from, they were recommended by an eye doctor. Sometimes these recommendations happen. They go in for something completely different. The doctor does the same thing, like, oh, I think this might help you. Just as easy as they hand out bariatric referrals, it's becoming this now. You need to try this. By some grace, they get insurance approval or whatever. Suddenly they're on these things, and the patient themselves not getting any support or education around the fact that, oh, I didn't know that I was going to have to. I just thought I'd be able to take these and everything was going to be great.
Oh man.
It doesn't work that way with anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is the scary part of it, is that a lot of people, they're just left to their own devices, and the doctors prescribed and set them loose.
Yeah.
Yeah. One client, she had a hypoglycemic episode in the middle of the night. So too much of a good thing is not a good thing, right? So her blood sugar was being overly controlled. And so it woke her up, and she had to immediately eat something. That's a very dangerous thing. You don't want your blood sugar to be low either. And another side effect she had, constipation, because your gastric emptying is slowed.
Oh, that's what they say. Yeah, that was one of the side effects.
Yeah, gastroparesis, which is that's the benefit of the drug, but it's also a potential side effect. So things like eating fiber, or just knowing that might be something that happens, and you're ready for it. And know to call your doctor if you're nauseous or vomiting, because those are also very common. My client sat on the toilet for 8 hours trying to have a bowel movement. And her husband said, if you don't go in the next 10 minutes, I'm taking you to the emergency room. Okay, so I'm not saying that happens to everybody, but just being educated and having that support. Those two things are going to help mitigate adverse events. And, it's just, people are going to suffer because sometimes people don't tell other people they're on the medication, even people in their household. And so that person may not even be thinking about observing their partner or their family member, and it could be a catastrophic side effect. So there are all these layers that I think people just aren't thinking through. And I think in the right patient, it is an appropriate methodology.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody, but it is for some people.
Well, and then we have the part where, they get on these, they're willing to do the work. And then there's all kinds of other side effects. Like we've heard people talking about, they have extreme fatigue, they get blurry vision, they can't drive, they're feeling confused. They're having massive headaches, and then some of them start losing their hair. I mean, the list goes on.
Hair loss is another one. Yeah.
Right. Like nausea, the whole thing. And then it's making workouts impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're dizzy. They can't, so it's like.
Even your quality of life, though. I mean, besides just the workout.
Exactly.
I really appreciate this part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Because it harkens back to how things in your body are interrelated. Right, from your stomach to your intestines, to your gut biome, to your intestinal biome, to your heart, to your brain,
to your psychology.
To your psychology. Like you're throwing something in there that is new. It's been tested, and they've done randomized controlled trials and all of that process, and it's being used successfully to help treat patients with diabetes. But holy smokes, man!
Make sure you have a whole team working with you.
Yes,
right,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think so. And another thing is, like, there's something called post surveillance data. So what that means is that the longer a drug is out to be used and approved by the FDA, the more people try it. You're going to see, more efficacy rates, like how it's working, but you're also going to see the side effects may play out differently than what the clinical trials played out.
Yeah.
So I promoted a product was pulled from the market because of lawsuits and things that were happening. So just because it's out there now, I'm not saying that will happen with this class of medication, but that's happened before. First, it gets a black box warning, which some of these have, that for the thyroid, a certain type of thyroid cancer.
Wasn't fen one of them?
I think, I think so. And now they're using half of it with topiramate. This is not a good thing.
Well, there's the other variable. How does this interact with
other
drugs?
stuff?
And they don't, when they run clinical trials, they're not testing it in conjunction with other drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
They're not
to
running.
what extent
That's the post
surveillance,
surveillance information that they're gathering. Oh, by the way, you may not want to use this with, high blood pressure medication.
Yeah.
The combination of the two could create,
Yeah. And then there's
hell
new
knows,
literature published that you may not have even seen in the initial clinical trials. Like now I've heard that oral contraceptives, it may diminish their efficacy. Yeah. So that's important. I mean, it's
wow.
Got to look at the big picture.
That's part. So the other issue here too is this is super visible, right? And it's a major money making opportunity for the pharmaceutical companies. So there was news the other day that we're at almost 1 billion people obese in the world. So they look at that, and they're thinking for profit. This is going to be amazing, and they're charging an incredible price for this, for access to the drug, which I think is not necessarily a bad thing because that may deter. If it was really cheap, we'd have a lot more people. Perhaps abusing it.
Right.
Yeah. So the high price tag, but then here's what you get on top of it. Then you get Hollywood using it, right? So you get all these actors and actresses. Or I guess they're all just actors now. Sorry, if I offended anybody.
Old card.
You get all of them using it, and then they're promoting it, and they're saying, hey, or at least they're being talked about. So and so lost this weight, and they're showing off their new physique. And so that starts to draw people in, and they don't get the team. They don't get the advice, and they don't.
Right. Yeah. Like Kelly Osbourne was just being interviewed.
Yes. Kelly
and
Osbourne's
I saw a clip. I don't know if you guys saw this, but she was saying, hey, some people choose to exercise. I choose to take a shot. So she's not exercising. And what people I think need to understand is just because you're getting healthier in some ways because you're losing weight, it's not because you're not exercising, you're losing the benefits of exercise, the endorphins for your brain, the cardiovascular benefit,
bone density.
Yeah, bone density, exactly. So you're missing out on benefits, and there's still this assault on your body in some sense. It's not all good news, right? You got to offset it by resistance training, eating your protein, eating fiber so you don't get constipation. Like, is your drug being managed appropriately? Are you on the right dose? Are you tapering down? You might need to stay on a maintenance dose for the rest of your life. I mean, some people will need to do that. So those are all the things that need to be considered.
When you come to a CrossFit gym, and I know I've talked to a lot of CrossFit owners, I've had an opportunity to sit with some of the best in the world, the best CrossFit affiliate owners in the world, and you ask them why they started their gym. And the every single one will tell you, and it's probably on the question it is the question, why do you want to start your affiliate? But it's the answer they're probably looking for. They will tell you, because we want to help people. And you get them in here, and you get my coaches that we have here at Diablo, 15 coaches. And one of the biggest challenges with my coaches that I face with my coaches is having them log all of their hours and their PT so they get paid. They have because they're guilty of literally wanting to be here to help people. And so when you walk into a CrossFit gym, you're going to find someone that cares about you and wants to help you. You may not get the same in a clinical setting at the hospital or at your doctor's office, where they are overwhelmed with patients that don't have a lot of time and they want to find a quick resolution to your perceived issue.
And they're not paid to.
And they have pharmaceutical reps that are highly motivated by money and sales, trying to influence them with, I've got a solution for you. We will see you 3, 4, 5 times a week. They will see you once, twice a year. We get to have conversations with you often. And within your network of your CrossFit gym community, you'll find people like Gwen. You'll find coaches that can help you get strong. You'll find even doctors that can give you insight and opinion. You'll find someone that you can bounce ideas off, you can talk to about the process. And that's why we play we should be part of your team going through this process.
I think, how we talk about these, it seems to be one of the things that jumps out at me the most. Maybe it's just because that's the kind of stuff that I see, like that example from the other day that I was just telling you about, Craig. It's like, if we as a CrossFit community, like, we understand that proper nutrition, movement, all of these things, this is the cure. And we know that, we believe it. We're testaments of it. On the other hand, again, piggybacking on what we talk about and why that seminar is so important, we also believe in this concept of being able to meet people where they're at. Should our position be so rigid that we can't, that we're going to put this out there saying, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, and inadvertently push away people that are willing to come in and do the work. I talk to so many of these athletes that have taken these and then got into a CrossFit gym and decided that, oh, I didn't need these. Like, can we be mindful about how we talk about these? At the end of the day, it's their decision. But are we able to meet them where they're at and show them, hey, these are all the things that movement is going to do for you. These are all the things that good nutrition are going to do for you, and let them discover this organically. Just meet them where they're at. Our job is to get them moving, essentially. Yes. Do we want to take such a hard stance and do all this posting on social media about how horrible and how bad these are, knowing how popular they're becoming, and push them away? Can we say, hey, I want to show you a different way?
Yeah. Do it responsibly.
A complimentary way, even.
Right.
To help complement what you're doing.
And again, I'm not a proponent of these, and I'm not out advocating for these, but I do want to be a proponent and an advocate for the people that need help.
Right.
So good. Is this something that you plan, or in the conversation that you have about obesity and the root causes and the solutions, are you making this more a part of your Scaled Nation seminars?
It's gotten to a point where there's probably a need to integrate these, just because it's evolved from 2 years ago when we started the seminar.
Right. Yeah. Even from the last time when you came here.
Exactly. And there's a lot of coaches that are saying, hey, we have people coming into the box that are on these to take them. What do we say? What do we do? And I'm like, we might have to work this in.
There are some gyms that are setting up clinics in their gyms to prescribe them.
Yeah, Lifetime.
Lifetime Fitness.
Oh, not CrossFit gyms.
No, not
okay,
CrossFit.
Just other fitness gyms. Got it.
You scared me. I was like, what?
Other fitness gyms.
I believe it.
Yeah, I can believe that for sure.
I don't. Again, like Athena said, I don't want to kind of completely dissuade people. That might be the doorway to a completely changed lifestyle.
Right.
Where they're getting both. They're getting all of the, and I'm sure that the Lifetime's, this is a big, very successful fitness company. They're not dumb. Like they're probably gonna do this is what they perceive as to be the right way.
One of the things that I noticed on that post with this coach that was talking about these was also a complimentary paragraph that was talking about, hey, it all boils down to calories in, calories out. And I'm like, this is why that perception, this is why we're talking about like this. If we approach it like that and we don't consider anything else, this is why like these kind of topics can go so off ride. This is why we miss out on opportunities to help people, is because we don't understand. Again, these are coming from people that have never had struggle with their weight. They don't understand the mental component, the environmental factors, the food noise, the fact that some of this is mental when I say mental, I mean like there are some like there are clinical therapy needs for people that have obesity. So when you're not factoring in all these other things, yeah, I can see, well, it just comes down to calories in, calories out, and there's no need for a shot. You know, like, is that the position that we want to have? Is that really what we think?
One of the things that Athena said at our seminar that was really profound for me, again, getting perspective, real life perspective.
Yeah.
Is I think she asked the group, what's the root cause? And someone said calories in, calories out. Her response was, you have no idea how many diets people have tried, how many calories in, calories out, how many diets an obese person has tried before they got to you.
Yeah.
And it's
I wouldn't have a job. People could just Google it and say, "Oh, how many calories should I eat?"
Dozens, but there may be hundreds before they got to you telling them.
When you think of like
calories in, calories out.
When you think of, like you said, have made 100 by 40 people have made 140 attempts. Like, how many times did they try the calories in, calories out? Like,
that's right.
What's the percentage of that 140 that was that method?
That's right. And then from there, she talks about, certainly acknowledges calories in, calories out. But what are the roots? That's the top
that was
of
the whole tree. That was the whole
top
tree.
of the tree with all the branches and the leaves.
It's like the
roots run deep, and they are large, and
you got to go deep.
Yeah, trauma, personal trauma, family trauma, childhood trauma, emotional reasons, the environmental reasons. Like there's
culture.
Yep, that's a
societal
great one.
pressure.
Yeah. Who do you live with? Who do you spend your time with?
Yeah. Support at home. Is your spouse on board? Like all of these things, like you can't, like, they're so underrated, yet they're the most important factors that are going to determine somebody's success. The other part of that is that a lot of these coaches are so quick to say, okay, calories in, calories out. Great. Where do I need to be on my calories per day? What's the magic number?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what they can't produce because they don't know either.
It's part of that complex biological mechanism.
Part of that tree that we talk about, isn't it, Craig?
Yes, it is. Yep.
I'm all about the calories in, calories out, but show me where Athena's magic number is and how do you get there?
It's funny. You just talked about that with Andrew Hiller, or the BMR, and how your BMR adjusts as you start to lose weight. Your BMR adjusts.
Yeah.
And so now you got different numbers.
Correct. And it changes all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I follow a guy called Carnivore MD, and he does a carnivore diet. Sean, I forget his last name, but anyway, Carnivore MD. But it was he's got some good stuff, and he's got some funny stuff. He's got some kooky stuff. One of the things, though, that was really fascinating, and I have yet to put it in my email, was he did a test where he did a blood test, fasted blood test of his cholesterol level. And with 24 hours,
holy shit,
he went from like doubled. Yeah, he doubled his total glucose number, doubled it in 24 hours just by what he ate that day. Doubled it, the number, which, and I've always said that, someone said it to me one time a long time ago, that your cholesterol level that you take is really just a snapshot of a freeway. So
it's like you're fasting glucose.
Right. So you take a picture of freeway, at 2 a.m, there's no one on it. You take a picture of the freeway at 8 a.m. and it's packed. Like, so it's a snapshot of freeway. So you need to have and same thing, blood glucose level, and all of the other factors, right? Maybe you're, the GLP receptors, maybe you have more in your gut at a certain time of day. All of those things are so varied in the human body on an ongoing basis that it becomes very difficult to really predict or to affect with as simple as reducing calories, increasing calories.
Yeah, it's so much more involved. Sean Baker, by the way.
Sean Baker. I was just pulling it up, seeing if I could find that post. But
yeah. The other thing is the same dose and the same product. Some people will lose weight in the first week. Other people, it takes like 4 to 6 weeks. Like, it's not the same for everybody. There's bio individuality. So it's, those are just all things that I would want people to understand before they start taking it, to minimize like getting discouraged and, frustrated.
Conversations when they say, "Oh, your DNA doesn't matter," it actually does.
Yeah.
Gwen,
Actually does.
yeah, that's right. That's the other thing.
It's a weird thing to throw out there.
Yeah. Let's not go down the vaccine route. We're gonna avoid that topic. Gwen and Athena, what would you tell someone that is thinking that this is something I want to do? They've done the 100 different diet recommendations. They can't seem to get a healthy habit going with their fitness. They want to, they want to stop eating a lot, and they see this as what is the advice that what's the recommendation you're going to give them with respect to trying these?
First of all, I would have them go to a physician or a provider, prescriber, who has seen many patients, not just your regular primary care doctor. You might have a tendency to want to do that. I would say go to an obesity medicine clinic or doctor where you're going to get followed. Now, it might be more expensive, so if you have the means, it's probably going to be out of pocket, but it might be covered by your insurance. You never know.
Right.
So somebody who's treated enough patients. Number two, I would ask that provider to be doing like quarterly blood work. So looking at things like your cholesterol, your glucose, your A1C, and absolutely getting your lean muscle mass tested. So getting a DEXA scan or an in-body.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And making sure that you're not losing muscle mass. Also, resistance training is going to be really important to maintain that muscle mass.
Okay.
And just be really aware of the side effects, all of the things we've talked about today. If you're nauseous or vomiting, call your provider. Maybe you have, Zofran or something on that you get the prescription filled in case you do get nauseous and you have to go to work. Maybe you take, just little tips like taking your first injection on a weekend. If you're a teacher and you take it Monday morning and you're fatigued, or you have diarrhea or you're constipated, you don't want to be in a classroom. So just eyes wide open, having a support system, having that treatment team, and making sure that they're educating themselves and doing their own research and not just thinking that this by itself is going to be the problem. It's look at those roots that Athena talks about in her program. You absolutely have to deal with your mindset. It doesn't change your mind, how you think about your body, how you think about food, how you think about yourself. You got to work on that stuff. See a therapist if you're not.
Yeah. And there's lots of routes now to get to a good therapist. And I think that is something that if you, and Athena, you can add to this too, or tell me I'm wrong, but if you are obsessing, if you find yourself obsessing many hours of the day while you are, taking it, and still like you're finding yourself obsessed with these thoughts, and it's affecting your mood, or it's affecting your behavior with your relationships with your family and friends, see a therapist.
Right.
As part of the process.
Yeah. So you're going to have a better outcome.
Yeah. Something that we do, I would say I completely agree with everything that Gwen just said. Scaled Nation is, I would say that we're a little different. And that something that we started doing here with the people that we interface with is we actually have them start working on their tree. So we talk about like getting them comfortable talking about, hey, would never want to talk anyone out or guilt them or make them feel bad if this is something that they want to do. However, with the caveat as, hey, if you want this to be a long-term thing, I want to introduce you to this because this is really where it's coming from. Now, whether they decide to work on that tree or not isn't totally up to them. Most of them do.
Yep.
But I want them to understand that there's a reason why you are struggling with your weight in the first place. I will be the first to admit this could come from 1,000 different directions. There are medical reasons that somebody would struggle. That tree is endless. But unless you're willing to dive in and work on these are not going to be a long-term thing. It will be very temporary. So I guess I try to put it in a way like, do you want this to be forever or do you want it to be temporary?
Yeah.
Let them choose.
That's great.
Is your
seminar in Nashville on the 21st. Is that sold out?
Not yet.
Really? So that's April 21st. That's in Nashville. That's a cool town. You can go visit, make it a vacation. If this is something that if you're at the point or you're already taking and you are a large body athlete, go attend her seminar. It'll do two things. It'll enlighten you too. It'll make you feel like, oh, there's people that understand.
Yeah.
That's the best one. You know, we had one of our members come in and she messaged me. She goes, I follow Athena. I didn't sign up for the seminar. I couldn't afford it this time. I said, come down. And she came down and you could just see she was just relieved. She felt so empowered and just kind of almost vindicated, right? It was really cool. And I would say attend this seminar because you're going to learn so much, and you might even be inspired to start a new career, coaching. Yeah. Which more coaches in this arena, coaches are going to be necessary. I would say if there's a billion people we're talking about, there are not enough coaches. There's certainly not enough coaches that understand.
Yeah.
Right.
And it is so different for someone that is a large body person coming into a gym. It is so much different. And it's not just showing up to the gym. It is and it isn't. There's just so many variables.
I say it's like we all come into the gym with, this is kind of like how I differentiate it. We all come into the gym with the same fears, the same, same thing like you were talking about earlier, Gwen. Like we all get, I want to come back tomorrow. We all go through that.
Yes.
But I think that each of us wear a different color set of glasses. We're all looking at it. We're all looking at the same thing, but what we see is maybe slightly different colors.
Yeah.
And how we see through those glasses is going to depend on the kind of experience that we're going to have or what we think about everything, Also, Craig, I want to tell you about that while we're talking about it, is how that seminar is structured out there in Nashville, because it's being piggybacked with Nicole Aquin's event.
Healthy Habits.
Right.
Yeah.
Healthy Steps Nutrition is doing their annual summit there.
Oh,
so it starts there earlier this week. You've got CrossFit sponsors that event. You've got the Best Hour folks there. You got Push Press that's doing. So that's going on during that week. And then the seminar is piggybacking up on that weekend on Sunday. And then that's going to be over at Proven. So it's like the whole week almost.
Wow.
So Athena, is your program only for coaches or is it for larger body athletes?
That's a great question, because when we started the seminar, by no means was it designed for larger bodies. In fact, I sometimes have to call anytime that they indicate that they're an LBA, because we have the select. I'm like, what are you? I'll call them and just say, look, I want you to understand what this environment is. This is really for the coaches to help, for us to be a voice for you. Because we found that although that wasn't the intent, we have a lot of larger bodies that come to the course for the exact same reasons that you were talking about, Craig. Sometimes I think that they're just looking for that validation that the struggles and the concerns that they have were, one, valid, but two, we have a lot of people come that want to be able to be that voice back at their affiliate.
Yes.
So I think it kind of goes both ways.
I think every affiliate should have one person go through this seminar.
100%.
Yep.
You need to get more seminars on the schedule.
I know. Hey, we have more seminars coming this fall. They're just not on.
They're on the schedule.
You're gonna be so.
Are you ever coming back out to California with the seminar?
I would love to come back out to California.
Yeah. How do we do that? Yeah.
We're going to be at Sakamoto's gym this summer at the end.
That's
of
right.
the
Oh, that's right. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to be back.
That'll sell out.
That's right.
That'll sell out for sure.
Cool.
We'll have some coaches over there, I'm sure.
Love that.
Yeah. And then she's going to be in England.
Yep,
you're going to be visiting, and the
Nebraska.
work that you're doing with Andrew. Thank you.
Oh, it's amazing.
It really is cool. And like Gwen said, and I wanted to have Gwen on because she had a client that watched your podcast with us and then was motivated by that
Yes, I sent Athena a message. She's one of my clients who's the one who had to go off of it because of her insurance.
Right.
And is now trying that new medication. Quizmia is the one she's trying.
Okay.
But I had her watch the video or the podcast on YouTube, and she's just kind of getting back into Pilates. She had done CrossFit previously, but has stopped doing that. And she went to an aerial yoga class and got the courage to call them and just ask, are you, can you handle a larger bodied athlete, or is there a weight limit on the silks, hanging from the ceiling? And it could hold her weight. So I think she's like 260 pounds, and she went, and she's like, okay, I prefer Pilates, but at least I went. And it really helped her feel so empowered that she belonged there and she can go, and she's trying. And so if she hadn't seen your podcast with Athena, and I know Athena's getting all kinds of messages, she's posting them on Instagram, which is so inspiring because, just for people to be talking in the open, like with their friends or their family, is a big deal. This is on YouTube for anyone to watch. And I know that can be a very vulnerable thing. And so I just want to thank Athena for doing that, because she's inspiring a lot of people, including me. Like, I know she says to Hiller often, like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. And those are important things that people sometimes don't call us out in a polite, direct way.
Right. Because they don't want to feel dumb.
Right.
Right. They don't want to feel dumb.
And I want people to let me know, like, if I'm saying something in a way that isn't working for you, or I'm, like, let me know. I need feedback too. So I really appreciate that.
Acronyms. We use vocabulary they're not comfortable with, or like, or they don't knowledge, or they're, colloquialisms, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's really funny that you guys are talking about this specific topic, because the new, because I do this diary with the morning chalk. And so every 2 weeks, I'm kind of journaling. This is kind of what happened over this 2 weeks. And one of the things that was, the topic of conversation for this article is the communication styles between Hiller and I. And although we have very similar personalities, our communication is like night and day. Like how we interpret things, how we filter things, our emotional responses to things are different.
Yes, that's been so great to see.
They're just different. And it's like, if I say something, one of the examples from the article was I was standing in front of the board and I used the word strength. In Hiller's brain, again, through his lens, through his glasses, he automatically went to, like being on the barbell. And he was like, oh, why'd you say that? And I'm like, wait a minute. I was talking about like emotional endurance. That's what I was talking about. I wasn't saying I need to go do a snatch. Or when I ask something that was like pivotal in the article is when I asked the question, why? When I ask why, it's not because like I'm not listening, but that's how Hiller took it. Why are you asking why? Maybe why? In his mind, through his glasses, that meant that I wasn't listening to him. I wasn't paying attention. Whereas, no, from my perspective, it was like, I want to make sure that I understand everything that you're saying so that when I go home, I'm able to duplicate all this. And when we talk about like communication styles, Hiller uses a lot of stories and analogies. And sometimes I'm listening to the analogy, and my brain isn't just listening to the analogy. I'm trying to figure out how to connect what the heck he's saying.
So what do you mean by that?
That's probably why he and Savon get along so, because Savon's brilliant with the analogies too. He comes up with analogies. Like, where is he going? And then at the end you kind of get punched in the face. Okay,
they're usually always great, but there's that delay where you're listening to it and you're trying to figure out how those connections meet. But the trouble with analogies is like, you're not always comparing apples to apples. So that's where some people can get confused.
Right.
How he communicates though. And I think like once you understand that, you're like, oh, okay. Now I know what to look for. But again, I would not have known that.
The takeaway from this last discussion that I got asking Gwen what she would recommend to her clients or to anyone that's interested, and then Athena's follow-up is don't be afraid to ask questions. Like if there's a little bit of doubt, little seed, like ask it. If you're concerned about how you might feel when you wake up in the morning, ask it. If you're concerned about, will I have the concentration to be able to do my job? Ask it. If you're worried about your sleep, ask it. Like ask all of those questions, the digestion process, the go into the bathroom questions, all of them.
Yeah. And people get intimidated by white coat syndrome, right? Some people do.
Right.
You have every right to ask any question you want.
It's almost like it's worth writing down before you even go
100%.
in. So then that way you have a list that you can run through versus having that moment where it's like, brain fart.
Exactly.
I think there's two sides to this, though. I think that there's, that obviously that person that we're encouraging to ask more questions about these, but then there's also from the coach's side where we want to empower them to ask more questions. Like, and Craig, to your point earlier, you mentioned this, people are so afraid of looking like, looking dumb, like, I should know these things. But the truth is that we don't. How would we?
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that person is going to respect you more when you take an interest. And when you ask a lot of questions, it shows that you're interested in their success.
Yes.
That's cool. Well, there's 2 seminars coming up. There's one in Missoula, Montana on March 30th. And then there's the seminar in Nashville, Tennessee. That's awesome. And then she'll have more seminars. I posted a link to her website. Check it out. Jamie's been to a lot of training seminars, but he's had a lot of training as a coach, and
it's probably the most impactful.
Yeah, that's a big statement.
Along with the L1, you know, it's like it almost like being able to piggyback it together is really helps from a perspective as a fitness professional.
Yeah. And then look at that. Philip Kelly, great dude.
Philip was at Diablo.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he's got direct experience. He's lost a bunch of weight himself.
Okay.
And an OBA, and you wouldn't know when you look at him. He's amazing physical specimen. That's cool. Right on. So, well, thanks you guys for being here today. This is a good discussion. This is exactly the discussion I kind of saw myself having in my head about this, just kind of informal, chatting about it, finding the reality about it, and then learning a little bit more about, because the fanboy in me learn a little bit more about Athena and Hiller.
I'm going to keep watching.
Tune in.
Yeah.
It's going to get fun, I'm sure.
55 days in, still 300 to go. It's exciting.
Right on. Thanks for being here, and we'll post this one up. It'll be on Spotify and all the other places.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Athena. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Gwen.
Thanks, you guys.
Take care.
Till next time. You got it.